Hey, I said I wanted to double dip in Canucks content today, so that's exactly what we are going to do. You know, sometimes you have yourselves the guy. I don't know what the woman viewership demographic number is on this channel, but ladies, do you ever just know? Sometimes that's the guy. He's the one. He's perfect. Everything about him, everything that he offers, everything that he can provide to you and your situation, it is exactly what you need. Now, the Vancouver Canucks are not one individual person, and this is not in a romantic context, but I think this indeed is the perfect guy. You know, a few videos ago, we talked about Seattle Kraken defenseman Adam Larsson and him potentially being the perfect quote-unquote addition for Vancouver, but with this name circulating around the trade market, I wanted to go out there and talk about a different name. A different right-handed defenseman, and somebody that a lot of other Canucks fans are talking about too. Let's talk today about Calgary Flames defenseman Rasmus Andersson. Because via David Pagnotta on the fourth period earlier this week, we've been seeing the Calgary Flames apparently toss out some names and be open to the idea of trading some of these guys away. Rasmus Andersson, Mackenzie Weegar, Huberdeau, Kadri, you name it, a lot of these guys could potentially be on the move for the right price. And because Andersson's name was included in that, you have Vancouver Canucks fans writing articles, you have Vancouver Canucks fans debating on social media whether or not this is the best move possible. Quick rundown before we dive into the analysis here. Rasmus Andersson is 27 years old, 6 feet, 214, right-handed guy signed till the end of 2025-2026, making $4.5 million a year. He's pretty cheap for what he provides because this is a guy who, in the past few seasons worth of play, has established himself as a legit top 4 puck-moving defenseman. He had 50 points in 82 games played in 21-22, 49 points in 79 games played in 22-23, and 39 points in 78 games this most previous year. He did decline point production-wise from 2 years ago to last year, but with the Calgary Flames taking a bit of a step back just in general, and with Mackenzie Weegar taking a big step up in his production, you can kind of see where the distribution lies here for Rasmus Andersson to get fewer points than before. Either way, though, he has been a multi-time 40-50 point defenseman with the Calgary Flames, and as a right-handed 27-year-old guy with some mobility, this certainly is a name that Vancouver Canucks fans have been debating. Take a look at this tweet made by MD-Nux0. He quote-tweeted a Pro Hockey Rumors article wherein they talk about the Rasmus Andersson, Kadri, Mackenzie Weegar availability. MD says this: if Andersson is legit available, the Vancouver Canucks should be doing everything in their power to get this guy. He is a right D and one of the more premier puck movers in the league. More importantly, our D-core looks like Hughes, Hronek, Soucy, Andersson, Forbort, Myers, and Desharnais. That is a top 3 D-core. This tweet had 59,000 views and a whole bunch of replies, and honestly, when I think about what Rasmus Andersson is, this is nearly the perfect kind of player. At least, if you wanted to attack this perspective from saying the Vancouver Canucks should be getting more puck-moving guys. Rasmus Andersson has an offensive touch that would be very good on a second unit and on a second pairing. It would give Tyler Myers a lot more of a role on the third pairing instead of the second one, which would give him better deployment because he's not going to be overworked. We all recognize that when Tyler Myers was forced to be a number 1 defenseman, he was really exposable. Okay, that's a bad word to use, I think, but I feel like the longer he plays, the more tired he gets, and the more tired he gets, the worse decisions he makes. Tyler Myers is one of these guys that you really don't want to push too hard, and giving him third pairing minutes instead of second pairing minutes will allow Myers to be more defensively responsible and not overwork himself either. And for a guy like Rasmus Andersson, as a puck-moving, mobile right-handed D, he's kind of exhibited in the past that he can handle minutes with solid decision-making and offensive productivity. If you wanted to talk about the pairing, having Andersson and Soucy together would allow Andersson to exhibit more so of an offensive-leaning style, because Carson Soucy can play defense and he can be a defensive rock. You could also try to work off of the goal-scoring touch that Carson Soucy has, because oddly enough, he is pretty good at throwing pucks on goal in the limited times that he's done that. I mean, last season, Carson Soucy had 2 goals, I get that, but Still, he had 10 goals with the Kraken a few years ago. He just kind of knows how to put the puck on net. Rasmus Andersson as well would be a pretty good complement, I would say, to Filip Hronek on the second power play unit. There would be a lot more movement from the back end with those two guys manning the point. Obviously, nowadays, I think the 3 forward, 2 defensemen setup on the power play is kind of outdated. You more so just see the 1 defenseman setup. But the Canucks and Rick Tocchet, they're no strangers to moving things around to fit them to their needs. And for Rasmus Andersson, I think the only big knock on him as a potential Canucks acquisition is his size. Part of the reason we had talked about Adam Larsson in the last video is because he is a big, shot-blocking, defensively-minded physical monster. And that guy was healthy this previous season. He was a brick wall in front of his net. He played with Carson Soucy in the past. And if the Vancouver Canucks are so intent on having a big D-core, they want their top 2 guys to be their puck-moving offensive guys in Hughes and Hronek, and they want everybody else to be huge, then okay. Myers, Soucy, Desharnais forward, and then you add Adam Larsson, that's a huge D-core. Rasmus Andersson does not have that size, unfortunately. He's a lot more of a mobile, puck-moving offensive guy. But that's not a bad thing, right? It just depends on whether or not the Vancouver Canucks would be interested in exploring that kind of a route. Because we had seen Filip Hronek potentially be labeled as a second-pairing guy and maybe moving Desharnais or something to the first unit with Hughes, maybe there is some sort of a desire for Vancouver to diversify the offensive productivity from their defensemen. Maybe have it so that you have more than one pairing that is capable of putting the puck on net and moving things around. If you wanted to really get fancy, maybe put Quinn Hughes with Andersson. Have 2 just really lethal passers on the first pairing, put Hronek on his second unit spot, and then move Tyler Myers down to the third pair. Have a rotation of Forbort and Desharnais for that final spot on D, and boom, you have a pretty consistent and pretty reliable D-core, and you're not even touching Noah Juulsen or Mark Friedman. There are a lot of options here for the Vancouver Canucks if they were to go out there and dive into an extra defenseman acquisition, and a lot of the replies go out there and say it so. One of the replies here on Twitter says, I'd like to get Rasmus Andersson, but I also don't want to keep funneling Calgary's rebuild. Bro, I could not care less about Calgary. By the time they're good in 5 years, the Canucks window will be long closed. Plus, there are no guarantees rebuilds always work out. Just look at what we went through for 10 years. Another Flames fan then replies saying, you gotta send us a haul. Lekaramaki would have to be included. Nah, it would probably be Hoglander. And you know, that's a different discussion entirely. I mean, David Pagnotta just threw out the names that the Flames could be interested in dangling around, not necessarily names that would be available for cheap. The Canucks would have to give up a lot of assets, but here's the thing, if their window of opportunity is right now, then who cares in a few years when Jonathan Lekaramaki is already a 25-year-old hockey player? Who cares by the time the Canucks 2024-2025 drafted prospects are cracking the AHL? This window of opportunity is open now, and maybe acquiring a guy like Andersson for a bunch of picks or a bunch of young dudes will significantly help this team out now into maybe making the third round, maybe making the finals, maybe winning the cup, and if the Canucks do that, then it's St. Louis all over again. Who cares what the team looks like in 2027 when you win the cup in 2025? Of course, that's wishful thinking. No team can be guaranteed to winning the Stanley Cup in any given year. There are 32 teams that compete, and realistically, maybe like 10 teams that could win it. So Vancouver, are they one of those? I'd say so. Do you capitalize on that right now by making an Andersson trade? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are a Vancouver Canucks fan, how do you feel about the idea of Rasmus Andersson heading over to Vancouver? And if you're a Calgary Flames fan, what are your thoughts on what the price would have to be? The Canucks just traded away another one of their younger dudes to an Alberta team in Edmonton, Podkolzin Sayonara baby. But when it comes to Rasmus Andersson, this is going to take a lot more than the price tag for a Vasily Podkolzin and a 4th-round pick. So what do you think is the appropriate trade return for Calgary in a Canucks-Andersson trade? Do you think the Flames would be a little bit hesitant to boost up the Vancouver Canucks stock once more? They already gave them Lindholm. They already gave them the Nikita Zadorov acquisition. So would the Flames be willing to do one more deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.